Doorbell rings, he drops a bag outside. When we read the fucking mail, it's a hell of a ride. 1 from a buddy, 2 for the show, 3 orange slices and away we go. Listen to mail, listen to mail. Gilbert and Frank's very amazing colossal mailbag. Colossal mailbag. Colossal mailbag. Mailbag.
I'm Gilbert Gottfried, and this is Gilbert Gottfried's. I fucked it up.
Strike one.
Hi, yes. Hi, I'm Gilbert Gottfried, here with my co-host Frank Santopadre, and this is Gilbert and Frank's amazing colossal obsessions.
Beautiful.
And I want to get one thing out of the way. The papers have been saying that Raybone is dying of Munchausen syndrome.
Has it been covered in the media?
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
I say he is living with Munchausen syndrome.
I would say thriving.
Proxy. Yes, he's battling. He's putting up a brave battle.
I'm a fighter.
We're going to remake Brian's song. Call it Raybone's song.
Da, 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 da.
You're going to be the subject of a movie of the week.
That's a great blues tune, Gilbert.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome back, everyone. It's 2019. Holy shit, we've been doing this for 5 years.
Oh, it's scary.
Almost.
All right, I'm going to kill myself.
Years.
I remember you guys back then.
Don't kill yourself. We're in a new year. Welcome, Raybone.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Much better. Every time Gilbert mentions my name, I get a little surge of energy.
Did you see the HBO series with Amy Adams, Sharp Objects?
No, I did not.
Because Munchausen by proxy plays a role. Spoiler if anybody hasn't seen the show.
She got it from this show. That's it.
I did, however.
Plays a role.
I did finally catch up with Mrs. Maisel.
Uh-huh.
And who did I see introducing Lenny Bruce?
In the pilot.
In the pilot.
There
he was.
Well next to me.
Very nicely done, Gilbert.
Thank you.
Finding your way on the hottest show on television. How do you do it?
That's amazing because it's every now and then. I mean, and decades pass, that I'll do something of respectability.
By sheer accident.
Because I just got a residual check for like about $10, and it was added up. One thing was Hot to Trot.
Wait a minute. What was the residual check for Hot to Trot?
It was like, added up.
11 cents.
It was Hot to Trot and Funky Monkey.
Funky Monkey, you're getting residual checks.
Yeah, and something else that added to $10.
$10.
Well, one of them was the Robert De Niro film.
The comedian?
The comedian, which no one saw.
Wow. More people saw Funky Monkey.
Yes.
What can you do with $10? Thank you, Arnie Kogan.
That's your retirement
checks.
right there. Yeah.
I get checks for cartoons that I wrote in the 90s, like Angry Beavers and Cat Dog and weird stuff like that. They still come.
It's so weird when you get a check and you go, when did I do this? I don't remember.
My wife opens the envelope and is like, oh, there's $82 in here.
Yeah.
It's very,
you ever see the bars
happy.
that if you bring a residual check that's under $1, you get a free drink at the bar?
Yeah, there was
a couple in New York.
There was a restaurant in L.A.
called Residuals.
Well, there was a bar in L.A. called Residuals. There was a restaurant called the Hampton Cafe, I think, that was run by a guy named, I'm going to get this right, but by Stanley Ralph Ross, who was a sitcom writer, and he wrote for Batman. And the idea was that writers were charged, if you could prove you were a writer, you got 10% off your bill. But if you were an agent, you had to pay the extra 10%.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know how well that was enforced, how consistent. That was the gimmick at the Hampton Cafe in L.A., which is gone, and so is the great Stanley Ralph Ross. Gilbert, a little bit of housekeeping before we do listener mail, because people are dying to talk to you and ask you and Raybone questions. A movie currently playing called The Favorite. Do you know where I'm going with this? With, I believe, Emma Stone.
Oh, yes,
Does this sound right?
Olivia Colman,
where
Emma Stone.
Where they do the whole thing about the
There's an orange
wedges.
There's a scene of
Are you
somebody.
kidding
Fuck
me?
you,
Is there
Emma
really?
Stone.
You got to be kidding. There's really
Am I getting this right? Is it Emma Stone?
Emma
the
Stone,
favorite-
Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
Olivia Colman. She
And,
saw her win the
who's
Golden
the other
Globe
one?
last night.
We've been talking about orange wedges, as some argue it's tangerine wedges, on this show for years now.
Yeah.
And now these Johnny-come-latelys.
Emma come latelys.
Emma come-lately.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
what the scene consists of because I haven't seen the movie. Do you?
No,
do
but
you?
it makes me angry.
Somebody's throwing oranges at somebody,
You know-
and I assume it's for some kind of sexual
What
gratification.
kind of world have we come to where somebody can steal the orange wedges bit? I don't know.
Yeah, it'll always be ours.
And I think in Julia Roberts' next film, she shits on a glass coffee table.
I
Is
didn't
that
know
right?
that.
We got a nice piece of artwork along those lines, by the way.
Dara, cancel Julia Roberts. This is, I have a gift for you. We did a gift episode over Christmas, but this one came the day after we did the episode. And
Yes.
this is from my old friend Fred Wheaton, who I work with at Topps. He's a designer and an artist and an illustrator and does wacky packs and Garbage Pail Kids and all that cool stuff. And he sent this for you. You know what that is?
And this is...
It's a pin.
It's a Yago.
It's your character.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, how about that? Because I
Very good.
went public on social media when I was down in Disney World saying I couldn't for the life of me find an Iago pin. And I mean, I was hitting up weirdos like collectors who were walking around with their books in the park. And Fred Wheaton, bless his heart, found you an Iago pin.
Thank you.
How about that?
Thank you, and a Yago pin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't want to see that shit on eBay.
Give it an hour.
Dara?
I'll get a tiny pen and write my name on it.
And two quick announcements. Larry Storch, one of the first guests on this show,
Yes.
the wonderful, ageless Larry Storch,
Who stands on his head every day.
still stands on his head. Speaking of which, we just had Gomez Adams in here.
That's right.
And I'm still a flutter.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Aston was here, and it only took us 2.5 years and about 72 phone calls and some begging and pleading to
When
get him
is
here.
when is that episode coming up?
Soon, young man. But Larry Storch turned 96.
Wow.
Our friend Matt Beckhoff had a party for him at a local theater, and it's on. You guys can go on Facebook and see Larry dressed in his Groovy Guru costume from Get Smart from the 60s. I don't know how they did this or how they found the Groovy Guru costume. I guess they made a new one. And Larry put on the shades, the whole
great.
beatnik thing, and the fake goatee or the Van Dyke, and did a whole Groovy Guru thing. It's on Facebook. It's on Larry Storch's appreciation page, and I will.
Larry Storch, nothing can stop the guy.
The guy is unstoppable. Probably because he's still standing on his head.
I
And-
think
and he's
so.
been, he's been a
Must be.
vegetarian for years, which will tell you something.
And I did some show, some crazy reality show where I was in like some kind of schoolyard outside area in the middle of the hot summer, and Larry Storch showed up
Wow.
to say hi.
Wow. He came to our live show. We did that
Yes,
show with
yes.
Whoopi at Caroline's, and
And
he showed up.
everybody, we introduced him, and everybody went nuts.
The most beloved man in show
Yeah,
business.
that's right. I forgot
outside
that. We
of
were
the
there.
man
We were
sitting
there
next
that
to me.
night. Yeah.
Also ageless.
So happy birthday,
Happy birthday, Larry.
Storch.
We adore you.
Many more to come.
You are a blessing and a treasure. And we have to say a sad goodbye also to our friend Bob Einstein.
Yes.
Oh, that really got me. That's so sad.
Gilbert wrote a beautiful tribute on CNN. You wrote an op-ed that was very well received, got many, many page views, which we were happy about, that people could see our appreciation for Bob. We'll talk about it when we schedule our In Memoriam episode in greater detail, but a terrible loss for us.
He was one of those interviews that you just kick your shoes off, sit back.
I listened to it again.
Let him take over the show.
Did you go back and listen to it?
Yeah.
I listened to it, and I had tears streaming down my face. I was screaming from the other room. My wife did not know what was happening to me. He killed us.
Yeah.
He basically ripped us apart
Yes.
for an hour, and it was the funniest hour of my life. And he,
Yeah, because I think the CNN piece is titled, He Viciously Insulted Me, and I've never laughed harder.
And I didn't know him. It was set up by a mutual friend, my old friend Lee Kernis, who was handling Bob, said, you got to have Bob on the show. Of course, we made it happen. He just ripped us to death.
Yes.
And then he called my cell about a week later, and I got to meet the real Bob Einstein.
Yeah.
And he was the sweetest and the most grateful and so happy, and told us how important it was what we were doing, and it meant the world to me.
And it was one of those shows from the first second you go, well, this is no work on our part. We just sit back.
One of a kind. One of
Yeah.
a kind. And we'll talk about him in more detail when we get around to the In Memoriam episode. We're trying to get it out before the Oscars do theirs.
In the meantime, read the CNN article.
Read the CNN
Yeah.
article, the op-ed that Gilbert wrote. It's very sweet. Albert Brooks sent out a lovely tweet about his brother, too. That was very sad. I'm sorry we didn't get him back a second time, but I will treasure that first show.
Yeah. That was
Truly
insane.
Insanity. Insanity. And I'm so proud of it. And I'm so thrilled that we
'Cause
had him.
He was one of those just off and running when he came on.
Absolutely.
Now, Frank, I kind of
Yes,
dropped
Frankie.
the ball a little bit, as you pointed out. Remind me who the guest is you killed.
What's that?
There was a guest you killed recently by mentioning them.
Well, Frank likes to. We'll give them a little backstory on this. Frank likes to claim that I mention people on the show in passing, and then they actually pass.
Right.
And it's happened. I can't
20,000 times.
It's happened several times.
Many times.
Well, everybody we talk about on the show is at an age where they've got 1 foot over the edge
we
already.
We lost 6 podcast guests this year. We lost Charlotte Ray, Ken Berry, Will Jordan, Marty Allen, Bob, and our buddy James Caron.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been a rough year,
Yeah,
to say the least, which we'll go into in depth. But to answer Frank's question, we had Mario here
Right.
for the Christmas show, and I made some goofy joke
and
about
he died.
No, Mario. Mario as well. Mario is alive and well and thriving.
Julie Andrews was another one we killed.
Well, Julie Andrews is still with us. But I mentioned
and we're all mourning the death of Julie Andrews.
You just want to be first.
If you're not first, you're last in this business. We had I made a Captain and Tennille joke
Right.
to Mario.
Oh,
And a couple of days, maybe a week or 2 later, we lost Daryl Dragon. And Frank, you're slipping because
I missed
usually
it.
it's your job.
I was very sick and very busy over the
yes,
holidays.
I understand. But you got to stay on top of this
and
shit.
speaking of Mario, when I was editing the holiday show, I went to he was talking about a Lifetime movie he did recently when he was plugging stuff. And I found it on YouTube. But I guess to surpass sort of the copyright protection, they pitched it down. So I found this scene with Mario with his voice pitched down a couple of steps.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you sure you really want to go out there and do that? It was like Butch Mario. It was the most surreal. You have to look for it.
Oh, he can be Butch. You want to do a couple of quick Twitter questions
absolutely.
to wrap it up here?
Yes.
Because people want to talk to you. Patrick Connor says, hey, Frank, I just came across the podcast recently. I have been binging since. I wanted to compliment you for your, imagine I found this one first, for your research and interview skills. How did I have this one queued up? Every guest literally says, how the fuck did you know that? It's obvious how good you are in your preparation. Well, we just got one of those out of John Aston, which was very, very satisfying.
People tell me that same thing, too.
They do?
Yeah.
Well, how nice. The fact that I've sacrificed everything else in my life for it, there's a payoff. Richard Ugino, I just finished the episode with Mario on my way home tonight for some post-holiday cheer. I have never laughed harder. Thank you, Betty Davis. Thank you, Julia Child, and Cher, and Carol, and Liza. It was spectacular. Boy, Mario brings it every year.
And I forgot who sent me this tweet, but someone sent me a tweet that said, nothing says Christmas more than Gilbert asking Mario if there's any dick he won't suck.
Yes, I saw that tweet.
I still can't get over the whole Richard Kind airplane.
That was
debacle.
nutty.
That made the
Yes.
show for me. I was in tears listening to it again.
Yeah.
Because I'm arguing back and forth. We're talking about basically how many dicks he sucked. And Richard Kind is on the phone.
On a plane.
And on a plane. And he turns to the guy sitting next to him. He goes, did you hear any of that? And the guy said, the guy in the bathroom at the end of the plane heard that.
And actually, I sent you guys, because I was recording him the whole time, but the audio wasn't usable. But I sent you guys a snippet with Richard cranked up, and you can hear the plane and his reaction. He's like, oh my God, oh jeez, are you hearing this? Oh gee, I gotta go. But I
Really
couldn't
funny.
keep it in the show because it was just too hard to
Really
hear.
funny. Only this show would get a guy who's calling with 2 minutes to start a show. He's on a plane.
No,
We haven't even done the intro yet.
But in fairness, because Mario called us out on that too, in fairness, because Mario wanted to rehearse for a good 34 minutes before
made
we
us
did
late.
the show.
That's true.
We missed Richard in the
Yeah.
car to the airport.
All right, screw you, Cantone.
All right, so it's all his fault.
Morris Hollygarden says, Bob Einstein's episode of your podcast has always been held close to my heart as it gave me one of the biggest belly laughs of all time. I will re-listen this weekend and I will raise a toast to a great man and the warm way that Gilbert and Frank interviewed him.
Oh.
That's very, very sweet. I'm going to weep. Let's see. What else is here? Here it is. Wallace Greenslade. Hey, Frank, I don't know if you and Gilbert know or if listeners have brought this to your attention, but The Favorite with Emma Stone includes a scene that Cesar Romero would enjoy very much.
Fuck you, Emma Stone.
I could not stop thinking of Gilbert the entire time. Let's see what else we have here. Lots of tributes to Bob. Douglas Hanau, Hanau or Hanau. The more I think about it, Frank is George Fenneman to real Gilbert's Groucho.
You know, we've said that.
We've said
a
it
few
on this
times.
actual show. I
Yes.
introduced myself at the very beginning when we started this podcast, and people thought they were just coming in to talk to Gilbert.
Right.
And I was like, who is this motherfucker that I have to talk to? And I would just try to diffuse the situation. I would say, I'm the George Fenneman.
And they'd say, who the fuck is George
A couple
Fenneman?
of people laughed and got it.
And who the fuck is Groucho Marx?
Yeah, well, there's a little bit of that. Sandy Hackett.
Yes.
A lot of nice responses to the Sandy Hackett episode, and we found this great clip of Sandy as a boy with his dad on Laugh-In, which is great.
And no surprise, a lot of great reactions to Dick Cavett's return.
That's
You know,
right.
I have a quick
That's
Sandy
right.
Hackett thing that you may have forgotten.
Go.
This is a little inside baseball.
Yeah.
That was a mini. I had to go back in and re-record I had to lift part of an intro from another show where Gilbert says "Amazing Colossal Podcast."
Yes.
Because it was slated as a
It
Colossal
was
Obsessions.
going to be an Obsessions
but then
episode.
it went so long, but we never recorded another intro for it. So he got this
Correct.
really brief intro.
Yes.
And
That's
why.
my fault because I meant to post-record a proper intro to
Yeah.
Sandy.
So
But
I
the la-
Frankensteined one.
But the last show with Mario here rehearsing and the keyboard, and then we had the whole behind-the-scenes crew in here and the gifts, and
it
I
was a lot.
was so close to an embolism.
I wanted to say one thing about Mario.
Please
we
do.
love him. He's so funny and such a great guy. And I was very impressed. He had when you did the episode, he had a cold or something going on, and he was unhappy with the way he did one of the songs. And he came back the next week just to redo that song.
He did.
I mean,
No one's supposed to know that, Paul. We edited it specifically so you couldn't tell. Nice job, Paul. You fucking ruined it.
You just revealed a behind-the-scenes secret.
We did it in a way that no one would ever know. Intentionally.
But now that it's out there, it's a tribute to Mario's professionalism.
That's exactly where I was
that he
going
had
with
a
that.
cold
Yep.
and he wasn't happy with the way that it sounded, and we booked extra time and he came back and he did it again.
Right.
And unlike us, he's a professional.
Yeah. And in Judy Garland's voice, he screamed, Fuck you, Emma Stone. I don't know.
Our friend John Fodiatis, who you called Tom Fodiakis
Yes,
when he
yes.
was here. Why would you know his name? He's only been writing music for the show for 4 years. John says, Empty City Squares is John on Twitter. He says, in preparation for my appearance, I spent countless hours meditating on the Tao of Frank Nelson.
Oh, my God.
That was a ton of fun. Thanks again, the rest of the team. That was fun. Gilbert
That was a great
Gilbert
one.
was terribly intimidated that there were 6 people in the room. He
Yes.
he was just going to go home. Let's see what else we have here. So for now, the Frank Nelson.
Hey, we got to give a shout out to, if no one tweeted about it, John Beach's intro for the Mario episode.
Whoa! Yes.
Wasn't that fucking
Where
great?
are my manners? That
oh
was
my
terrific.
God, that was so good.
Yes, John Beach. Well, Gilbert doesn't know what I'm talking about because
No.
he doesn't go back and listen to the
Oh
show.
my God, Gilbert, listen to it.
Dara did. I made
No,
Dara.
I emailed it to you guys. though.
I know, but I made Dara listen to it, and she loved it. It was a fake out, Gilbert, of a 1960s kind of Christmas special, like a
that's
Dean
this show?
Martin.
Yeah,
Well, that was the intro. Why am I getting feedback? Is it from my phone, Frank?
I don't know.
Uh,
Because I turned it up in here and I got my mic open.
That's
Let me do it
okay.
again.
Let me see. Richie Wilson writes, if the Academy doesn't let Gilbert Gottfried host this year's Oscars, then these people have no clue on how to make television history. Not a zip, zero, zilch. Have you been approached, Gilbert?
Well, yes, because I'm totally inoffensive.
David War, Davidwar, David War, is responding to something Cliff Nesteroff, our friend Cliff Nesteroff, posted.
Oh, about Abbott and
Yes,
Costello?
David writes, and when the man gets the obscene film, who picks it up? Every reel of it. Cliff
Because
posted, go ahead.
I had heard that even before Cliff
Yeah.
wrote about it, that Abbott and Costello, particularly Abbott, had a large collection of porn.
Yes. Well, Red Skelton, they said, too.
Yeah, that
Red
wouldn't
Skelton
surprise
had
me.
They say that he had a. Please don't sue us. That he had a collection of stag reels. I don't know about Lou Costello. That's news to me, but I would never question Cliff.
Yeah.
How do we tie that into the strawberry milkshake in some way?
I don't know.
Yeah, but I
Gilbert will
heard
find a
about
way.
the Abbott one.
We
Yeah.
went to see Stan and Ollie. Have you seen that?
I saw it. I had a
It's
screener.
Great.
It was great.
Yeah, it was really great. You should see that.
Some factual errors, but I won't carp.
I'm not surprised.
Here,
Yeah,
I'll-
but-
They
gonna
got
pull
the
a poll
names
here.
wrong.
I'm going to pull a Paul maneuver here. In the most, I think it was the Dick Cavett episode, you mentioned having a screener, and then you said, I'll lend it to you to, I guess it was Dick Cavett.
Yeah.
And you're not really allowed to share those things.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I cut that out of the episode.
Oh, actually, that was a screener that was given to me by somebody else, not a guild screener, not a union screener.
Oh, okay.
So I could have shared that
You
one.
could have shared. I just didn't want to get you in trouble, so I cut that out.
You're a kind fellow. I'm sorry I brought it up. I don't share my guild screeners. That's a way to get yourself in deep,
Right
in
out of the
deep,
guild.
in deep doo-doo.
I do want to see that movie, though, and I can't find it playing anywhere.
It's fun. Did you see Stan and Ollie?
Not yet, but I'm waiting. I'll probably get a screener pretty soon.
You should. You're not going to get mine. Richard Kine followed me on Twitter. There you go.
Just now?
Just
Finally?
now.
What was he waiting for?
3 years later. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate hearing
yeah,
from you.
I heard they're both great in Laurel and Hardy.
Terrific. Particularly Coogan really disappears
Yeah.
into the role. Somebody complained that his hat was too large for it. I think there were some liberties taken, some artistic license with the truth. Hal Roach is not portrayed in a very flattering
Oh, yeah.
in a very flattering light. I won't tell you anything else about it. But Riley is a guy that I think we should try to get in here because I think he's one of our
fucking amazing.
throwback guys who kind of loves the old stuff.
What about Coogan? Would Coogan?
Try them both.
Yeah.
We'll try them both. Steve Hanna, I got to give Steve Hanna props for the Danny Thomas. Did you see this? Gilbert is just reacting. Our artist in residence, Steve Hanna. I hope you're listening, Steve. For Danny Thomas's, what would have been his
There's
106th
his
birthday.
star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and a glass coffee table
Over the star.
and a what I'll say is a chocolate cake.
On top of the star.
Yes.
Steve's work Did you see the thing he did with you as the reindeer, as the foul-mouthed
Yes.
reindeer?
Oh, that was
Yes.
disturbing.
And I don't know what I was. I guess I was Hermie the elf. I was Hermie the dentist. And Mario saw it and tweeted, "Where the fuck am I in this?"
Yeah, they said Gilbert the foul-mouthed reindeer.
Yeah. Lastly,
Oh, it's Gilbert the
it was the blue-mouthed reindeer.
blue-mouthed reindeer, yes.
Yeah, with Burl Ives in the background, naming names. My wife was very funny. We were listening to Rudolph, and it opened up with Burl Ives singing, "You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer," and my wife said, "He's naming names again." Liam McEnany. Liam, our old friend. You remember Liam? He interviewed us
Yes.
on his podcast once. I am listening to Real Gilbert and Frank Santopadre talking to Ron Delsner about the last automat off Times Square. I totally forgot. My grandfather took me there when I was a little kid. I still remember the little glass windows with the food behind.
Yeah, I remember those too. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to love, my mother would put the coin or the token in.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd get hot chocolate out of the lion's mouth.
Oh,
there was
great.
a little metal.
Was that in the Hoarded Heart at 1 in 42nd Street?
Yeah. There was a little metal lion head, and I'd get hot chocolate out of it.
Great memories. And to bring this full circle, I love that Delsner episode, by the way. We spent the whole first 20 minutes not even talking about show business.
And
We were off point.
There's a song that someone sang, we'll have to get a copy of it, that I remember the lyrics go, "And now I'm big and fat, 'cause I keep on eating at the automat."
Oh, we'll have to find that.
That's
Yeah.
my wake-up song every day. It's my alarm.
We had John Astin on the show earlier, as I mentioned, and he's in a movie with Cary Grant and Doris Day called That Touch of Mink. And I was watching it for research. I'd seen it before a million years ago. And there's an automat scene shot in the
Yes.
automat with Audrey Meadows, and it was just great. And Richard Deacon is in the scene, and it was just great to see the automat functioning. Because, we get off on old New York.
Movies about old New York.
Yeah, stuff
I love
you can't
that.
see
I love
anymore.
That. Yeah.
So I don't know when we'll post this, but the John Astin episode was a keeper. It was great. It was thrilled to finally get him here.
Oh, terrific.
Oh my God, my nipples were hard.
He's got like the same facial expressions, the same kind of half smile out of one corner of his mouth.
Yes.
I mean, it's a really
He's a
funny
treasure.
Yeah.
And we'll put it up in a couple of weeks. And that's it for listener mail. Anything else, Raybone?
I think that's it. Still working on my album. Any
Okay.
day now.
Okay. Say goodnight, Raybone.
Good night, Raybone.
Gil?
And this has been Gilbert and Frank's Amazing Colossal Obsessions.
Listener man.